They told you it was nothing more than entertainment. They assured you that what unfolded was carefully scripted, an act designed to thrill audiences, create headlines, and move storylines forward. When Triple H hoisted Ronda Rousey into the air and slammed her down with a crushing powerbomb on live television, you were told it was just part of the show. A choreographed spectacle to generate excitement and elevate both performers. But what if that was never the truth? What if what the fans saw that night, the clip that WWE continues to recycle in documentaries and hype packages, wasn't about storytelling at all? What if it wasn't about empowerment or equality, but instead about punishment, humiliation, and a not-so-subtle reminder of who truly controls the machine? What if that night wasn't a landmark moment for women in wrestling, but a calculated demonstration of dominance meant to put not just Rousey, but every female performer, in her place? Because while fans were given a shiny, polished version of events, the reality behind the curtain was far more sinister. What the world watched wasn't simply an angle. It was a warning. From the moment Ronda Rousey arrived in WWE, the atmosphere shifted. Here was an Olympic medalist, a former UFC champion, a global celebrity whose fame extended far beyond professional wrestling. She didn't climb the ranks the way most did. She didn't spend years in developmental, working small venues, earning respect the old-fashioned way. She didn't need to. Her reputation came before her. And that was precisely the problem. Rather than welcoming her as a game-changer, someone who could elevate women's wrestling to new heights, WWE's leadership viewed her as a threat. Whispers began almost immediately. Rousey was entitled. She was difficult. She didn't respect the business. But the truth was much simpler. She expected the same professionalism, creative say, and protection that male stars often received. She wanted transparency in her storylines and consideration for her physical well-being. That alone made her a problem. The tension between Rousey and management, particularly with Triple H, grew steadily. On camera, the narrative was of mutual respect. Backstage, insiders say it was anything but. Rousey wanted genuine storytelling and agency over her character. Triple H saw her growing influence as a direct challenge to his authority. And in WWE, when you challenge the one who holds the keys to the kingdom, you eventually pay for it. That payment came in the form of a brutal spot on live television. The official explanation is that the powerbomb was rehearsed, a mutual decision to give fans a shocking moment. But multiple accounts from people who were there suggest otherwise. The sequence wasn't performed as planned. Rousey was supposed to get her own offense in, to establish herself as a legitimate competitor. Instead, the segment became a one-sided display that left her physically shaken and humiliated. Those who witnessed it backstage say the move was reckless. Executed with unnecessary force, Rousey landed far harder than intended, with little effort made to protect her. Immediately afterward, she complained of sharp back pain, dizziness, and tingling in her legs. Under normal circumstances, medical staff would have required a full round of tests before clearing her. But WWE, facing corporate pressure, rushed her back, brushing off her injuries and framing the incident as proof of her toughness. It wasn't toughness. It was a message, a reminder that no matter how famous or accomplished she was, no matter how much fanfare surrounded her arrival, she wasn't above the system. She would be made an example of if she didn't conform. What followed was the spin. WWE's media team moved quickly to reframe the incident as a historic moment for women's wrestling. They released behind-the-scenes footage showing Rousey and Triple H smiling and joking, carefully edited to suggest camaraderie and respect. They sold it as progress, as Rousey, earning her stripes, as proof that she belonged. They praised her resilience, they applauded Triple H's supposed professionalism, and they positioned the whole thing as a benchmark in the evolution of gender equality in the sport. But what they didn't say was telling. They never acknowledged the danger of the move or the recklessness behind it. They never admitted that Rousey was hurt, or that her team's concerns were brushed aside. They didn't mention the loss of trust she felt in the system or how her enthusiasm began to fade afterward. They didn't highlight how she started to withdraw in interviews, how her confidence in WWE's promises began to erode. Imagine, for a moment, if the roles had been reversed. If Rousey had delivered a dangerous powerbomb to Triple H that left him shaken, would she have been celebrated? Would WWE have turned it into a highlight reel, replaying it as a symbol of progress? No, she would have been suspended, criticized, and perhaps even pushed out. But Triple H was untouchable, the heir to WWE's throne, the man whose influence decides who gets pushed and who gets buried. His status shielded him from accountability, while Rousey was left to carry the fallout. In the months that followed, her matches became less frequent. Insiders say she sought treatment for ongoing back issues linked to that very incident. But WWE never acknowledged it publicly. To fans, the narrative remained one of resilience and equality. To those who looked closer, it was clear something had changed. The fire that once defined Rousey had dimmed. She was present, but she was no longer the same. The wrestling media, which often jumps at the chance to cover controversies, stayed surprisingly quiet. Many of these outlets depend on WWE for access, interviews, press credentials, backstage opportunities. Speaking out would have meant risking those privileges. So, they played along, repeating the company's talking points, ignoring the uncomfortable questions. Veteran wrestlers, too, remained silent. Many had experienced similar mistreatment themselves and knew better than to speak out. Challenging the system could cost them their careers. And the fans, too many were swept up in the spectacle. They cheered because they were told to cheer. They celebrated because WWE told them it was worth celebrating. They mistook exploitation for empowerment. But clapping for abuse doesn't make it less abusive. Calling negligence progress doesn't make it true progress. And silence in the face of mistreatment only allows it to continue. The moment the company celebrates as groundbreaking wasn't really about equality. It was about control. It was about reminding everyone, especially women, that stepping out of line comes with consequences. And while WWE continues to replay that footage, framing it as a milestone, Ronda Rousey has had to live with the physical and emotional aftermath. A moment sold to the world as triumph was, in reality, a turning point, a chilling reminder that in the world of professional wrestling, power always protects itself, no matter the cost.